Ashes is a song that there already exists a version of this song, which was a Decibel Flexi, which came out a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, that version of the song, we recorded that in a practice space essentially, and I mixed it, which is always a bad idea to have me mixing things. We wanted to give that song a full treatment, like full production, something that would stand up against all the other tracks on the record. We just went back in, I changed some of the lyrics around, gave it the Eric Rutan sort of treatment, and made it sound more brutal and a little bit more epic sounding. So that brings us to Legacy, which has an interesting genesis, because there was a period of time where we were doing a lot of touring on Path to Totality. Usually when we go to practice, there's always a wealth of ideas for riffs. We try to record everything in the space as much as possible. The main riff for Legacy was off of one of those random practice tapes, and I'd almost forgotten the whole thing. We were getting ready to go on tour, so we were rehearsing the set very intensely, banging that out, grinding the set just so we were ready to go on tour. We'd also, while we were down there, we recorded some just ideas that we had for riffs. Then we went out on this month-long tour, and all the stuff that I'd worked on I'd forgotten. That recording sort of languished in this obscurity for over a year when I sent a bunch of ideas to Garrett, the second guitar player that plays on this record, and he's like, oh wow, this song that you have, I forgot what it was labeled, it had some working title, like Dissection was the working title, because the main riff reminds me a little bit of something that one of my favorite black metal bands, Dissection, would write. So yeah, this song that you guys have, it's called Dissection, is actually really cool. So I'm like, couldn't even begin to remember what this riff sounded like. And finally I picked the MP3 up, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. I don't like the ending. There's certain things we wanted to change, so we just relearned that main riff, and which was actually kind of hard to do, because once again, it's been like 16 months or something like that since I actually played that riff. Just sort of expanded on that, came up with the meat of the song, basically. And this song has to do more with like the kind of cyclical nature of time. There's like certain concepts that time, things kind of repeat themselves because of infinity, where if you think of the universe as an infinite place, there's been every iteration of every single situation into infinity. Meaning like I'm sitting here talking about this record, and there's like an infinite loop of me doing this somewhere, but even in every variation of that loop, like in one possible reality I have like blonde hair, and there's an infinite number of times of me having blonde hair talking about this very same thing, or I might be Asian in some other multiverse. So the song has to do with those kinds of concepts, where how, time is like a cycle, and, there's like an infinite loop of realities going on all at the same time. The world is burning in the dark abyss. This brings us to Severed Lives, the sort of one of the more subtle songs on the record. It's not as overtly metal as most of the other tracks, and this song has to do with the concept of panspermia, which is the idea that life on this planet began from another part of the universe, and that when the primordial goo that life sprang out from was fermenting in some distant past, that the life came here from like an asteroid or something, and there was like these microscopic travelers that landed here, and that's where everything came from, is these bizarre cosmic voyagers traveling from some far distant galaxy, and that may have been on this voyage for thousands of years and lifetimes and eons, and then finally landed here by accident, and that's where all the germs of our current reality might have come from. Bridge between the stars. The closing track on this record, Spiral, Once again, a spiral is like this infinite sort of fractal. It doesn't have a beginning and an end. Once again, my favorite topic, death, is being written about in this song. A lot of songs in this record have to do with dying and death, and a great deal of death has sort of surrounded the TOMBS camp over the last couple of years, and that's something that sort of entered my consciousness when writing the lyrics. This song, the final sort of couple of lines in this record is an idea that sort of I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll be thinking about dying and thinking about transformation. Basically, the song is like, what are those last moments of your life going to be like? Are you going to go look back on your life and be happy about the life that you lived, or are you going to have regrets? And if you have regrets, are those regrets something that you feel okay about letting go of? And then once you ponder all of these life experiences, are you going to resist releasing all of that material and content that actually make up your ego and who you are, and taking a step out into the unknown of death, stepping into this void that is infinite and goes on forever in a multitude of different iterations. So that's a fitting place to end the album, with infinity and infinite different iterations of lives and deaths and universes, and the sort of cosmic existence and cosmic questions that we all have.